it is my immense honor to present my friend Christina Owens. Christina and I served as Peace Corps volunteers in Bolivia together in the early 2000s, and Christina has stepped in as the as the member elected affiliate group network coordinator, and has served in this capacity with great distinction for the last year. And I just want to say before Christina, I turn it over to Christina, what a pleasure it is to have you in this role. Thank you, Christina. Take it away.
Thank you. I think on the run of show, just a reminder, but I see that everybody's been doing a great job with the chat. We've opened up the chat. I think this is really a great opportunity to put your questions there. And if we can't get to it, we'll definitely follow up. If you need closed captionings, I know we had amazing ASL interpreters, but the closed captions will help. And I think, is this still being recorded? I do believe. So the first step, I just want to introduce, you're going to meet Michael Roman later, and he is my co-chair and has been a partner in the last few months, and I'll explain that later. But the first thing of business, we have to approve the 2022 AgNem minutes. But you can also see that this is our agenda, and we have some really amazing best practices panel that we are going to get into as well. We'll talk about general announcements, and then we'll have some breakout groups. But at that time, we've all been sitting there, so it's obviously an optional to interact with some of our guests. Okay, so a link. Kathleen is going to be providing a link to the minutes. The link in the minutes will be put in the chat, and the voting poll will appear on your screen in your Zoom toolbar, and it should be open for most of the meeting. Okay, so if you have any questions, go ahead, put your questions in the chat, and I will give you an update of what the last year has entailed. Again, welcome. It's been an incredible journey, and we've been on together over the past few hours. I am so grateful for so many staying for this part of the meeting. I was incredibly inspired by all the presentations. I think we were all crying when Sandy Clark shared some of the stories, but I also was really excited about our presentations last night, and I was drawn to a quote that Director Spahn had quoted, a renowned activist by the name of Marian Wright Edelman, who said, "Service is the rent we pay for being. It is the very purpose of life, and not something you do in your spare time." This quote is beautifully encapsulates the essence of our community. Service is not just a choice, it's an integral part of who we are and how we live our lives. Of course, I'm sure we were definitely inspired by all our speakers. Reflecting on my first year as the affiliate group network coordinator and MPCA board member, I can say it has been both challenging and inspiration year. As many of you are aware, my role is one that you, the affiliate group leaders, elected, and it even has its own dedicated section in the MPCA bylaws. I am not just a representative on the board of directors. I also have the privilege of being a permanent member of the executive committee. This role is truly a labor of love for our community, and I cannot express enough gratitude for the support I've received from MPCA staff, my fellow board members, and the decision to have a co-coordinator, co-chair, who you will hear from shortly, Michael Roman. Within the bylaws, I have the authority to convene in an advisory committee, and from the outset, I work closely with Ari Richard and later Kathleen Sebastian, our affiliate group network program managers, and of course, other valued staff, MPCA staff members. Together, we've embarked on a mission to identify exceptional group leaders who could provide the unique perspective needed to ensure that our decisions align with the needs of the community. After months of hard work and engagement with our community, we successfully assembled this remarkable group to act as our advisory committee. If you look at this slide, you'll see a diverse set of group leaders representing various aspects of our community, and I'm immensely proud of this group. And every time we convene, I am reminded of the value they bring to the table, the insightful conversations, the valuable perspectives, and the profound insights they provide on the role of MPCA. This group effectively serves as an advisory committee, and over the past year, they have played a pivotal role in shaping our decisions on critical matters, including the transition to the new CRM system, the necessary bylaws changes, and the overall mission of this advisory committee. Many of you might not know, but this advisory committee has not been convened in several years. And so this is the first time we've kind of come together and brought this group together. One of the most significant changes proposed by this advisory committee was the extension of the members' term to at least 2 years. This was within the bylaws. The bylaws originally said 1 year. However, the team realized, or the advisory committee realized, that after 1 year, you're just starting to begin to understand what we can do and how we can be a better voice to our community. As we embark on our second year, this committee is already eager to dive into the best next chapter, and we have a call already planned on Monday, and we will be planning planning the upcoming year. They have plenty of ideas of what we want to do next as a committee. I want to also express a heartfelt gratitude to each and every member of this advisory committee, and to all of you for your unwavering support and commitment to our community. We will continue working tirelessly to ensure that the Peace Corps community remains strong, vibrant, and deeply connected, and we're excited for the coming year. Now I want to hand it off to Kathleen Sebastian, but before I do that, she is our affiliate group network manager, and she's part of the MPCA staff. She's joined us in February, and she has been working tirelessly and have been a crucial partner in this work. And I cannot thank her enough for all her work. I also want to say a very happy birthday to Kathleen. Today is her birthday, and she has been working hard for the past month and is doing this on her birthday. And I want to just tell her happy birthday. I will pass it off.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Christina. Thank you all. It is such a delight to see everyone here, and some very tough acts to follow after that super inspiring presentations that we've had earlier. I am going to be sharing with you some preliminary information from the Affiliate Group Network survey. But I just need to preface it by saying that, as Christina reminded me, no one likes to see a bunch of words, Kathleen. So I just want to share the very, very top highlights. I think you all know quite well how to find me every Friday at our new Affiliate Group Network meeting time, which is 11 a.m. Eastern. 11 a.m. on the Pacific. This is where I am, but 2 p.m. Eastern. It used to be 3, so we've now shifted it to 2. That's every Friday. And then, of course, I'll put later in the chat my email. So if you have questions about this survey or anything that I'm doing, just please feel free to get in touch with me. So the first thing that I wanted to explain, though, I had some questions about this survey. Wait a minute, Kathleen, why are you asking us to do this? We already sent in some documents in January. That should be it for 2023, right? Well, there are a few things. Actually, historically, we have always allowed the first quarter to finish before we start asking people to send us reports, because most of our groups are on a calendar year. And so we understand that people want to take a couple of months to get in their annual reports, write their annual reports, finish up their finances. So it it has been. I even went back in the files and I could see messages from Ann Baker saying to us all, it's spring, you know what that means? It's time to reaffiliate. So this is not something that was new this year. Took a little bit longer perhaps for me to get messages to you because I did want to take the opportunity to do an in-depth survey, and I'm going to explain why. In years past, you remember it was just a quick little thing. How are you doing? We're great, or we're struggling, or something very, very simple. I really asked for your indulgence to give us some more feedback. We have received to date 101 replies from you all. I'm so thrilled of the generous time that you've taken to give us the feedback. However, the charts that I'm going to show today are only from the first 87. This is where you'll glaze over. My spreadsheet has now more than 14,000 cells in it. So I just had to make the decision when I was creating charts. I just got to stop, a couple of weeks ago so that I could get you this information. It is not too late to still complete your info and reaffiliate. And that's going to be, this shortened URL is going to be in the chat. And again, you can ask me if you ever need to get to that. So let's get to a few super top level highlights. So the first thing is that this shows, if you all can see, the distribution of the responses. And what I thought was so interesting, maybe not surprising, this mirrors almost exactly the same distribution of our groups. So among our groups, we have 50% geographic, and gee, look at this, 49% of our responses of that 87 have come from geographic, and country of service by the, self-selecting country of service, 36% by the directory, and 37 have responded. So really interesting to see that that's just been almost a mirror image of our composition as a group. So this was something I was curious. I was actually interested to see that more than 60% of our groups are registered as 501c3s, but I do frequently get questions from groups. This can be a very long process. Every state is different. I believe usually you start with your Secretary of State, but then there's also federal tax issues. So please know that it is not a requirement for any affiliate group to be registered as a tax-exempt organization. There are some benefits perhaps, but a lot has changed in the tax code that make it a little bit less of an incentive to say, hey, you can deduct your contributions, because it depends on your individual filing status when you do your federal taxes. That is, again, 62% of our groups are registered 501c3s. I keep losing my slide advance. And the next thing I was interested to investigate is, what about dues? So you remember in 2015, NPCA made the decision to eliminate dues from membership. And my own affiliate group, CPACs, went along right at that time. So we dropped the dues requirements. We had been at 15 like NPCA. And CPAC's Seattle area said, no, we're going to just go along. We think this is a good idea. We don't want any hurdles to membership. So that's what we're going to do. But 53% of our respondents have dropped dues. But now you can also see that there are the next biggest category, 24%, have maintained that $15 a year. And I will say that most groups, when I've talked to people or I've seen what they do, they always waive dues for the first year that an RPCV comes back from service, with the understanding that you're just trying to get back on your feet and maybe dues paying isn't the highest priority. So speaking of priorities, we really were interested to see, well, what is it that people like to do as their highest priority? Now, those of you who actually filled out this survey will remember that there were some pretty heavy duty grids in there. And I put in this extremely long list of events and activities and asked everyone, please rank whether these are important or not so important. And what we're going to see in a second is, gee, what was the most commonly cited most important event? And here you have, this little surprise to me, maybe, the annual meeting. Now, but if you look also down the left-hand column, happy hour, eating out together, holiday party, picnic, story slam, these things really speak to me of the importance that we have as groups to get together in person. And then I will, of course, say, so grants to overseas organizations or to support Peace Corps volunteers in country was the second most commonly mentioned priority program. But what I just want to say is that I think that what's going to flow into the next question, this idea of how important we feel it is to get together in person, that it makes a difference in our interaction and our enthusiasm and our activities, and why we, as has already been mentioned, are so much looking forward to having Peace Corps Connect in person next year. Again, I just want to say, I know this is hard to see probably on your screen and too much detail, and I will be making results of the final results available and post them online. Anybody can ask me in the meantime for specifics that they're interested in. This is now, how does your group collaborate with other affiliates? My favorite question. I was so keen to understand what it is that people are doing in terms of collaboration. So what I had, perhaps if you did it, you'll remember a huge long list of primarily cause-related groups, and then asked you all, have you collaborated in the past? Are you currently collaborating? Would you like to learn more and figure out how to connect with these groups so that you could collaborate? Or we don't have the bandwidth to collaborate right now. So this is what we got in terms of aggregated responses, aggregated. So you can just see again what I think this says about would like to learn more. So please focus now on the right-hand side of the screen, where you see that really anywhere from 20 of the cause-related groups, it's high 20s to 30s of number of responses. Got nothing to do with percentages here. These are the number of individual groups that say, hey, I want to learn more. Now, why did I say this is my favorite slide? It's because what do I think is one of the most important things that NPCA must do, and that's to facilitate collaboration and allow for groups to communicate with each other. So this is why I'm so keen on being able to share this information. I have the individual responses, and I've actually just sent them out to all the cause groups so that you can know exactly in that 30 or 33 or 27 which group raised their hand and said, I want to learn more about the RPCVs for environmental action, or how do I connect with Peace Corps Community for Refugees? And I have just sent those out to the groups, and we'll be following up with you individually to help facilitate those discussions. Now, this is another important question for us. We asked, what areas are you seeing? You have been asked this question in the past. Where are your current challenges? Where would you like to see more support from NPCA? This is a crucial question for us to understand, because as we're looking at strategic planning and where we're going to put our resources and our attention, we need to hear from you about what is most needed. And I will say that a group or more has said, this is not really support. We're doing quite well on our own. Thank you very much, Kathleen. What we really want is collaboration. So that goes back to the previous slide. How can we facilitate the collaboration? So I do want to back up just a second and say to that some of the ways that we hope to do that include serving as a clearinghouse. So that's when you need some connection to a group and you ask me, and I will find that information just as quickly as I can and get back to you. We have had some focus this year on creating a webinar series, and that 3-part series that we did on preserving your Peace Corps memories highlighted 2 of our groups, Museum Peace Corps Experience and Oral History Archives Project, for whom we just saw the videos of for their nomination for finalists for the Rupee Award. And that actually came from a suggestion by one of our affiliate groups that said, hey, we're working with oral history. What about, don't you all want to do that? And so that's how these ideas for webinars come about. And I really welcome everyone thinking a little bit more about, well, what do you need? And just send me a note and we will try to make that happen. We also had some suggestions from the network about newsletters. We all do newsletters, but maybe I'm not so good at them. How do we get the best practices and share that? And so we had a special Focus Friday on that. The other thing I really have to encourage is using the Facebook affiliate group page, really trying to suggest that all of you who have Facebook pages, please just share your post to the affiliate group network, and then it's very easy for us to comment and forward on to our own groups. So when we talk about the support, again, this is a lot of words, but I'm going to just shorten it on the next slide, where you'll see the areas where people could report that they're having challenges or want support, focused very, very largely on this main thing of engaging, not just membership, but leadership. So you see, again, please, the numbers in the middle, those are not percentages. Those are raw scores of the number of responses. So 51 out of the 87 respondents said, we really want some ideas on how to engage with our membership, how to keep it fresh, how to get, especially across all of the demographics, and truly people coming back earlier, younger, when people are really busy with their families. And so we're going to hear a little bit more about that in some of the best practice session that's coming up. Board leadership, another area. So I won't dwell on this. Again, I realize time is zooming by. So just know that I have this information and am happy to share it with everyone who is interested. So finally, again, as just a thank you to everyone for your contributions for us to gather this information. It's really very, very important for us to understand what you're thinking, what your needs are, what your desires are for collaboration. So again, you still can do your reaffiliation if your group hasn't done so, or if you're not sure, just ask me. If you have any specific comments or questions, just contact me. I'll have my email in the chat. And when I have my full data set, I will be happy to share that out. I will eventually get to each one of you to say thank you for your response. And here is our new logo that I will send along with my email. Thanks to our Oren Luke for creating this. The reason that he redid this, you'll recognize it looks like the old one, except a little different, because this is high resolution. So not only do you have the ability to use it on your website or in digital media, but now it's also going to be a quality that you can use in your print materials. So thank you so much, Oren. And I am going to end there. Again, we'll do questions separately in the chat or just directly to me. And I'm very happy to hand off now to Mike Roman, who's going to lead us into our best practices panel. So take it away, Mike.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Kathleen. This conference has been an amazing conference. I feel I've laughed, I've cried, I've done everything in between. We have 3 amazing panelists to join us today, and they are going to go over some of the best practices that their groups are doing. I heard their stories when I was in the heart of Texas and on the Mexican border, and I was just amazed when I heard everything that they have been up to and what they are doing. So without further ado, I first want to do an introduction of all 3 affiliate presidents, affiliate co-directors. The first one that we have is Justin Tabor from he is the president of Peace Corps Alumni Foundation for the Philippine Development. He was a RPC, he is an RPCV from the Philippines. He served from 2008 to 2011. Kim Dixon, president at Partnering for Peace, Friends of Peace Corps Rotary International. She also is a returned Peace Corps volunteer from the Republic of Georgia, 2014 through 2016. And then Nasham, you are outside, I love it. Marks, co-director of CARV, which stands for Cincinnati Area Returned Volunteers. She is an RPCV from Bangladesh, 2003 to 2005. So all of our members are, you know, the 2000 volunteers, and I am so excited to have all of them. The way that we're going to do this is we're going to allocate about 5 minutes of time to each one of them to introduce their organization, their affiliation, and what they are doing that is so remarkable and successful. And then afterwards, we're going to have a little Q&A session between me and them. So we're looking to do about 30 minutes, and then we will be in group room number 2 in the breakout rooms when we are done. So without further ado, Justin, if you would, your amazing organization, please take it away.
Hi everyone, I've got 2 screens and it took me a second to find that mute button. My name is Justin Tabor. Like Michael said, I am the president for the Peace Corps Alumni Foundation for Philippine Development, which I will be calling PCAFPD because that's quite a mouthful to continue to talk about, which you will see on the side here. We have been around for 40 years. We're celebrating our 40-year anniversary this year. So we were founded in 1983 by a group of former volunteers as well as former staff members, including Filipino staff in the Philippines. We are a registered 501c3 nonprofit organization based in DC. And our main goal and mission is to enhance what we call human development in the Philippines. And we also do, we are the affiliate group for Return Volunteers from the Philippines. So next slide, please. So some interesting numbers just so you can get to know our group a bit. Our current budget is about $250,000. Each year we take in approximately $60,000 in fundraising. I was asked how many members we have, and we don't necessarily count members in that sort of way. We're one of those groups that got rid of the dues. And so I asked our database manager to pull how many names are what we consider active, which means that they've done something with us in the last 3 years. And so that number was 354. So I would say we have that many people in our orbit right now. And then what I'll be talking about a lot is we have awarded 380 scholars over the last 40 years. 265 of those scholars have graduated from college since we started. And we recently started a granting program, which has awarded over $2,000 in grants. So one of the cool things here you'll see in this graphic is just sort of something we're quite proud of is our scholarship program. It's really the meat and potatoes of what we do. We recently, as part of our 40th anniversary, did an impact study. And one of the questions we asked our graduates is, if you hadn't found the scholarship and been selected for this scholarship, would you have been able to go to college? And a lot of them said, no, that wouldn't have happened for them. And so that's something we're just so proud of, helping these really fabulous, very needy students get the opportunity to go to school. Something we recently also started is a small grant program. And then twice a year we send out newsletters, and that is probably our primary driver of fundraising. And we do the occasional event here and there. I saw in the chat people were lamenting how the pandemic slowed a lot of that down. We definitely felt that as well. This is another slide from our impact study. Really proud of this one, and I think it just goes on to show some of the impacts of what we do. We don't take full credit for what's in this slide, but basically what you're seeing is we asked our scholars at 3 different points in time, so before college, when they graduated college, and then currently, how would you describe your family's financial standing with a range from poor to rich? And these have dollar amounts in the questions that they were asked. But what you'll see is before college, many of our scholars were poor, and over time that has shifted to more and more of them being lower to middle class. And so again, we don't take credit for all of that, but it certainly does speak to some kind of something happening over the years. probably related to having a degree, being able to find better work, having people support you. And so we are just so happy to see that through this scholarship program, we're continuing to see some kind of impact on the Philippines, and we're very proud of that. What I've been asked to also share as one of our best practices is what we call the Ituloy team. And you will see them pictured here. In the center is an older gentleman. His name is Sir Roland. He has been with us for quite a long time. The Ituloy team functions as our administrative arm in the Philippines. So they are all located in and around the Manila area. And they provide a lot of administrative backup, financial backup, and programmatic backup for our scholars. We probably wouldn't be able to host as many scholars as we have over the years if we didn't have a team of people in the Philippines activating, transferring funds, on the phone with the scholars, getting their text messages and all this kind of stuff. So it's a small team. 6 or 7 people are on this team, and they meet monthly. And they have been around at this point for about, I want to say about 6 years, 6 or 7 years. Sir Roland, the one sort of pictured in the middle, the older gentleman, has been with the organization for a long time and was doing a lot of this admin work himself. He would go to the bank himself. He would transfer the funds. He would be on the phone with the scholars when they needed something. And that just kept growing, and that the need from the scholars kept growing and growing over time. And so it was decided that a team of people should be convened to assist him. And the younger faces in the crowd there are all former scholars. And so these are people who we help them go to school, and now they are paying that back through their service and giving to that next generation of scholars. Next slide, please. Oh, I think that might have gone one too many. Oh, there's not one in between. Is there one after this one? No. Okay. Sorry. Let me, I have a slide on some of the good things that come from our Ituloy team. So some of the reasons why we would encourage groups to consider this would be that it does spread out administrative tasks over a larger group of people. And especially by including some younger faces in that crowd, we did notice that there were new creative ideas, new ways of thinking about issues from our scholars and trying to find solutions that were new and beyond what one person could have done by themselves. It opens up that chance for the alumni scholars to give back and be of service as well, which I think is this really interesting idea of we're an affiliate group of RPCVs connected together through service. And now we have this sister team of volunteers who are also giving back and developing their country through service. And so there's this really, and then both of these groups are working together. And so it's also a mirroring of that Peace Corps experience where we are working with local nationals to provide some sort of development and betterment to people who could use it. And so just a really interesting thing here. Some considerations if you're interested in taking on this model. I think it's really important to have a vision and functional roles and rules for how your two groups will operate. If you just sort of sprout up another organization and then let them go, who knows what that will look like. It could take on it could end up in a way that you may or may not have foreseen. One thing that we really benefit from is having Sir Roland. And so that really trustworthy, reliable partner who's been with us for decades made something like the Ituloy team possible. He is there, he acts as our trusted agent. And so everything sort of revolves around that relationship. And he's helped foster these new ones, which will help the group continue over time. But things change and grow. We're going through things even still now. I mean, this team has been around for 7 years. We still haven't solidified everything. So always be prepared for things to change and look a little bit different. But yeah, that is our Ituloy team. We're quite proud of them and happy to answer questions about them later. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Justin. stunned at the numbers, stunned at the amount, stunned at the impact that you are having, or the changes that you are making with your team. Kim, if you want to go ahead, unmute, and Partnering for Peace.
Thank you, Michael. You can put up my slide there. I think I saw it. Thank you all, and thank you, Dan, and Christina, and everybody for thinking of us. And I was kind of taken aback as president of an organization. You always focus on, oh my gosh, what aren't we doing? What should we be doing today? So it was kind of funny to talk about best practices. But Michael said I could talk about the dearth of best practices or what we're striving for. So maybe I'll go there. But first, let me explain what Partnering for Peace is. About in 2015, a group of returned Peace Corps volunteers that were also Rotarians got together and said, oh my gosh, we have almost the exact same mission. It's just executed in different ways. And as you can see from this chart here, on the left are the Rotary International's areas of focus, and there's 7 of them. And on the right are the Peace Corps sectors. And I colored the right side to mimic the colors on the left. And you can see we're almost synonymous in our goals and missions, and that's what the RPCVs and the Rotarians said at the same time. So in 2015, Peace Corps and Rotary International signed a formal memorandum of understanding to work together to support one another's missions and service projects. If you're not familiar with Rotary, and I wasn't, there are 34,000 clubs in the world. They are in every Peace Corps country that we are in. They have 1.4 million members. It's really huge. And of course, we also have the Peace Corps, which is back in the countries. And we have the 250,000 return Peace Corps volunteers, which I think are one of the biggest opportunities that we have for this synergy. If you go to the next page, I'll talk. This is, it's not an ad, but it is an ad. Our Rotary Peace Corps Week is coming up, but our whole mission is really connecting people through awareness, education, and outreach. So we don't do fundraising as my predecessor did with all that money you raised. How fabulous. We are specifically and by design a 501c4, which means we don't raise funds because we don't want to compete with Peace Corps, the SPA grants, NPCA and their fundraising efforts and project support, and Rotary Foundation, which has a very, very large foundation and have projects everywhere in the world. Rotary is a grassroots organization. So it is a bottom up. Every club in America and around the world decides what they want to focus on and how they want to do it. There's no top-down direction. So it's kind of a different attitude. But the good news is for all of us, our PCVs out there, we can very easily take our goals and our actions that we want to support and bring it to a local Rotary club in your community. They have cause-based Rotary clubs. I just got off the phone with the E-Club of World Peace Educators. There are a lot of peace clubs. There are peace building clubs around the world, about 400 of them, over 400 now. So there's so many different types of organizations that you could engage with to support. And our job as an affiliate group is to help the rest of the affiliate groups connect with people that can help them support their goals or your goals, or encourage them to support your goals. The other thing is that we as Return Peace Corps volunteers can support Rotary projects around the world by all of the training that we've had in the Peace Corps and our experience, whether it be our language. I was in Georgia in 2014 to 16, and I still speak the language most of the time. So I can validate projects. I can say, no, that's never going to fly, or, you know, you need to work with this group or this organization, or the municipality has to approve anything before you do anything. There's so many ways that we as RPCVs can support those projects. So, so that was, and in September 18th to the 22nd, in 2 weeks, we'll be going through joint projects to give you ideas about how to work together, and how the Peace Corps is working in country. The country directors are working with Rotary clubs over there. We'll work on, I'll talk about the peace projects going on between the organizations, et cetera, et cetera. And we even have Jody Olson will pop in and do her magic, as she always does. So best practices, I think we're really lucky that we don't do the fundraising. We connect people that have the funds and want the funds, and try to do things together. And then we also have a working board. I think that's most important. And because of our mission, which is mostly awareness, education, and outreach, we need really good communication people. And Karen Pupor in the past, an RPCV, Terry Stevenson, who is on the board now, head of our communication committee, an RPCV, a Rotary Peace Fellow, and a Rotarian. He does a fabulous job. And I think that communication is really important for anything as far as best practices go. But I hope I didn't go over.
Thank you so much, Kim. I think Partnering for Peace is just an amazing organization. I have friends in Rotary, I have friends in Rotaract, New Zealand, and the amount of work that they partner with us in UNICEF, in UNESCO, in Kiribati, you know, hopefully we'll get Peace Corps back in Kiribati, and we'll get a partnership going there too. Next is probably the closest person to me, distance-wise, Nasham. She is going to talk about CARV 2.0, kind of the restart or the reinvigoration of Cincinnati area volunteers. So take it away.
Michael, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for having me join and looking at all of the different areas in ways that Peace Corps can engage. I was in Peace Corps Bangladesh in 2003 to 2005. Also spent a lot of other time in Bangladesh in different areas around the world. My mom was in Peace Corps Turkey in 1969. So I'm a second generation Peace Corps volunteer, and I've looked and really witnessed all the different ways that Peace Corps volunteers engage. While my mom, when she first came back, no one knew what she was doing. Her family was very confused. They weren't sure what was going to happen when it came, what she was doing or how she was, versus when I came back, you know, a good 30, 40 years later as a Peace Corps volunteer, and being able to show that we had other Peace Corps volunteers. So it's an interesting way to look at the different generations that Peace Corps volunteers have come back to the US. And that's something that I think rings true when it comes to the Cincinnati area return volunteers. We've had volunteers that have been a hard working, really trying to put forward, how do we connect? How do we engage? But it was something that made sense for them at that point in time. And that is something that we really strongly looked at when we started looking at CARV 2.0, Cincinnati area return volunteers, for what does that next generation want to look at? And what do they want to see? How do we engage the new Americans that have come to the US? Something that fits along with the Peace Corps mission of really helping people understand those other cultures, as well as how do we start recruiting and getting other people to really want to join Peace Corps? So looking at all of the different areas that we could affect. And while we still find it very important to do some form of connecting and ways for us to get together for lunches and for picnics, we also want to make it very meaningful for that next generation. And that was something that was very important to the return area volunteers for Greater Cincinnati. And we've got about, I think if you were to look between Dayton and Cincinnati, about 400 volunteers around that have been around or that have been engaged, but really only about 30 that have really been involved. So, how do we make sure that we start involving people and we let them engage where they find fit? And I think that's something that as all Peace Corps volunteers, we could take into account that we all want to make sure how do we don't necessarily need to stay one certain area, but everyone fits in different areas. And that was something that we really took to heart. So when we start looking at the mission of Carve and how do we move forward, and we're still figuring it out. We haven't figured it out perfectly. We have just passed the baton. We are still trying to understand, those monthly meetings, and are they quarterly? Do we do Zoom? Do we stick with something that's more of community, getting families together? So we're still trying to understand it. And I think that that's something that is key for everyone. How do we start fundraising? Previously, we didn't really do much fundraising at all. But now I think we see where there are different missions and different things that we want to support. And how do we start looking at small areas and ways of creating a coffer that we could start investing in different areas of the community and really make a change. And then thankful to Michael, who happens to be leading a lot of our work when it comes to advocacy. How do we ensure that our political leaders recognize the value of Peace Corps? I work for our regional airport, and I am sure that most of our leaders do not realize that I'm working on, while I am a tried and true, my Peace Corps life comes out of me. They probably don't realize that a lot of that is my passion, and my work comes because of the Peace Corps. So how do we ensure that our leaders understand the value of bringing in and having Peace Corps volunteers in the community? So that's all the types of areas that we're looking at with Carve, and how do we ensure that we're looking at the next generations and keeping things alive, and that it just doesn't die when a group of our amazing volunteers decide that they are, ready to retire and move on. How do we make sure that the next generation really picks up? So Michael, I think that that's kind of where you're going, but I'm not sure. I'm happy to, I'll admit I'm outside listening to all of these conversations that are fantastic. And I think we have a few, like 15 minutes of Q&A. Would love to entertain some questions. This has been an amazing conference to really get excited about, but wanting to understand what are those pain points and how can we mitigate them? But also, how do we look at what's future? And thank you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had to get up. It's such a beautiful day today in Greater Cincinnati.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Yes, the Cincinnati board just did do a complete turnover, and so everyone on the board is brand new, and I think everyone is extremely excited, energetic. I think we pitched in a few $100s for a rental at a farm with horses and dogs and cats.
And sunflowers.
And sunflowers, yes. Well, since you work in the airport, I mean, first and foremost, I want to get an advertisement in the Cincinnati International Airport. Let's get on that. My first question is actually going to go to you. So, how did you get members to take up lead roles?
Okay, so this is interesting. We actually in Greater Cincinnati, my mom is a Peace Corps volunteer. That is how I decided that I wanted to become a Peace Corps volunteer when I was in college, and ended up going into getting my master's in community planning at the University of Cincinnati. And it's a gem that I don't know if we really use the resource enough, but we have a Peace Corps Fellows program. I ended up getting a master's through a Peace Corps Fellows program. Had no idea it was even an option. And granted, I'm 44, so we're talking, years ago. But I didn't realize that we had such this amazing program that we could actually look at all of these really interesting Peace Corps volunteers from around the world that are looking at community planning. And with that, we started engaging more and more with the university on what do those Peace Corps volunteers really want to see and want to do in their future, and what would be interesting to them. I think that, pretty much everything in my life, I pair new technology, corporations, and start startups and universities together. So even though it's not my work life, it's my personal life, I still pair how do we engage more with those universities and how do we look at what type of groups are available. So Katie, who's my co-chair for the Peace Corps Association for CARV, she was also a recruiter and a graduate of DAP. Same with another one of our colleagues or one of our friends, Kate, who is running she's now I think our board, or she's running the finances. With her, she messaged me and said, hey, we've got to keep this thing alive. What are we going to do? And it was kind of a flippant, we got to figure this out like Peace Corps always does. And we started to work with it and connect with other people who also wanted to keep things alive. So I do think when you're looking at best practices, look at your universities and what they're doing with Peace Corps. And then when it comes to recruiting new members and new leadership, who are the people that are already active in the communities? I mean, if I look at Katie and Kate, myself, we're all leaders, and it feels awkward saying, but we are all leaders in the community. We're people who are working to make a better region, whether through housing, through the airport, through community. There's a variety of different ways. So I think recruiting people from those groups is huge, and looking what is happening at the universities at your local community is a great best practice.
Thank you so much, Nasham. It's great to have you. Enjoy the Cincinnati weather. It's beautiful where you are. Kim, question for you in terms of Rotary and getting involved in Rotary. How can other affiliate groups get involved with their programs with the local Rotary groups?
Sure, Michael. And thanks for that. And what a great, Nasham, that was just a great talk. I'm also a member of North Carolina Return Peace Corps Volunteers, and I'm taking notes because we need to revitalize that group a little bit more as well, as all groups, I think we do. Rotary, yeah, it's so easy. First of all, you can call us, or better to email info@partneringforpeace.org, and one of us will help you, walk you through different ideas. And I just put in the chat, you can go to just Google find a Rotary Club, and you put in your zip code, and up will pop 5 or 10 on a map that are close to you. It's really kind of scary. There's so many. And it's one of the few international organizations that's really growing tremendously. And I would just personally in my own, and everything's a grassroots effort. So you have to decide what you want to do. But in my area, we were doing a project or one of the Rotary clubs was doing a project in Uganda. So I reached out to the RPCV group in North Carolina and said, who served in Uganda? How can you, connect and help them? Go to one of their meetings and tell them what you know. On the other side, any of you, Rotary clubs usually meet once a week, either for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or drinks. So find one that has drinks. and tell them that you'll speak, and you can give them any 20-minute talk, and everyone's looking for speakers. So just tell them what your club does, what you're trying to do, and what help you need. And you'd be surprised at the people that come out. We've done joint service projects together, like our Rotary Club supports a community garden. So I invited the RPCV group again to come, and several of the members came, and several of them joined Rotary, or at least connected with Rotary for, specific things that are in common. So I just can't tell you the synergy between the two. I wasn't a Rotarian when I went to Georgia in 2014 and hardly knew about them, and just went to one of their meetings as a excuse to get to the Capitol, and you RPCVs remember what that is. And they were just so delightful, and they helped me with my projects. I helped them with some of their projects where they needed people in the small villages, and they are mostly in the cities, although they support projects in the small villages. So the synergy continues today. The president in Tbilisi, Georgia calls me up, and I helped him with a grant for the Ukraine, on and on and on. So many good things. So call us or find a Rotary Club and just go talk to them. you won't be able to tell them from the RPCVs. Everyone's service. Their logo is to serve, to continue serving. I forget the logo, but anyways, sorry.
Okay. And I did see in the chat, somebody was questioning what is Rotary Week. Would you mind just putting a link to the Rotary Peace Corps Week?
Sure. Yeah, let me do that. So it's going to be September 18th to the 22nd. And it's like 1 hour a day, different times, different days. And we're focusing on different areas of celebrating our connections. And that's all we are. We just connect people. And that's the theme this year, is celebrating our connections. The best thing is just to go to www.partneringforpeace.org. And the registration's right on the homepage, but I'll put it in the chat.
Awesome.
Oh,
And
Molly put it in for me. Thanks so much, Molly.
And then Justin, for you, fundraising in affiliate groups is always a challenge. I mean, it's a challenge for everyone, even at MPCA. What did you have any challenge? I mean, your numbers are just astonishing.
With fun, I mean, we are, so I would say it's not something, when it comes to fundraising, the money continuing to come in is almost machine-like at this point, which is more of a blessing than anything, I would say, because we have a system, and I've inherited this system. I did not create this system. It goes to all those board members over 40 years who created this.
Waiting for Abby or something, they're running a half an hour late.
Maybe a reminder to mute if you're not muted. What we do, we have these 2 mailers that go out every year. And I would say, having run our database and seen the numbers come in on our checks, those 2 mailings really drive our fundraising cycle, with the biggest time of the year being our December fundraiser, the holidays, and all of that kind of thing. And a lot of that comes from donors who have been giving to us for years. We know their names, we know what's going on in their life. They look forward to these mailings every year. So that's really in place. What I have been trying to talk to our group about is how we have that locked and loaded. How can we start to pivot to those people who aren't giving yet, and the younger people? And we wanted to remove that barrier of having to give money. At the same time, we will at some point need you to give money to continue the scholarship program, and that's a real goal that we have. And so one of the things that we've tried to do, this is why our grant program exists, and we're trying this, is not everyone resonates with one program. Not everyone sees themselves in this scholarship and wants to give money to a scholarship. In the Philippines, we had this really great coastal resource management program full of all these environmentally passionate people. We're not harnessing those people and their interests. And so we started a grant where now we can offer grant funds. One of our grantees is a nonprofit organization that works on an island to teach children about how to preserve their mangroves, how to fish in a sustainable way. And so that's directly linked to what people were doing in their service in the Philippines. And so I think the vision there is to, maybe you want to give to the scholarship, maybe you want to give to the grant, maybe you just want to give money and let us decide on that. So just trying to open more avenues for people to give and see their money used in a way that they want it used is really what we're trying to do.
Awesome. Well, I think I want to thank each one of you for joining in this conversation and just providing more inspiration. It's been a full day of inspiration. All of you are doing amazing work, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I am going to pass it back over to Christina at this point in time for a closing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This has been so inspiring, and I'm so inspired by people are still on the call for after several hours. I just want to have a few reminders. There is a post-event survey, and so here's a link there. And I think I see Jonathan is putting them into the into the chat there. There's the Rupee Award ballot, and that's going to be open for a few days, I understand. And then the group a reaffiliation survey, if you haven't finished that, please send those in. But it's exciting to see so many groups really engaged. And then join and post to our affiliate Facebook group page. We do have that, and we can you can post anything, whatever event you want to share with other affiliate groups as well. I think the next part, we are this is an optional, we're going to have breakout rooms with the different groups. Group 1 will be the Rupee Award finalists. You can get to know the finalists, ask them questions about their work. The best practice panelists who just heard them speak. It's so inspiring to hear them. And then affiliate collaboration, which Kathleen talked about. And then if you had questions about the Silksart to the migration, the CRM migration, so they'll provide some updates. We may, depending on what is going on, we are thinking of switching every 15 minutes, but I think we have the option of you guys jumping from one group to the other. So if you ask a question, then you can go to the other one. And of course, again, thank you for attending. This has been amazing. And I do have to conclude, we do have our I think our motion passes for the approval of the minutes. I do believe I have to say that. So thank you for all that. And then did I miss anything? Are we?
Christina, I think we've been hearing in the background that people are feeling like they're getting a little tired from sitting, and we may just do a one session. This slide says 2 15-minute sessions and switching. I think we've covered a lot of territory here. Anything that you want to ask about collaboration and migration, we'll be able to follow up afterwards as well. So just given the time delay that we've experienced, I think we're going to go with the 1 15-minute session and then follow up individually as needed, and just suggest that as a way to allow people to get up and stretch. Conclude our meeting. We will not be coming back to this room afterward. We will not. So when we finish, when we post the breakouts now, Molly, I think you're going to put the breakout rooms up that we will then not see you back in the main room. So I think Dan wants to say goodbye to everyone as well.
That's exactly right. This wasn't scripted, but I really want to thank everybody especially who joined last night and for the first 4 hours today of updates from NPCA and discussion panels, stories. It's been a long road. Remember that this is usually all done in a 2-day conference and with other things interspersed. And also remember that if coming back next year in person, things like the StoryCorps panel and collaboration, being able to meet the panelists and talk over drinks or over meals, that's all going to be a reality again, and it will not feel like you're as rushed and in front of a computer screen for all of this. So look forward to next year. Hopefully this is the last time we do this virtually. And I want to thank especially all of our panelists today from earlier. I think they've moved on, but the affiliate groups, it's really hard to choose who to share best practices. But thanks to Kathleen, Christina, and Mike, especially for moderating the panel. There's so many good things going on out there and so much new energy. I feel it, especially this year with Peace Corps back in the field, with groups celebrating and getting together again. It's a feel-good moment for the Peace Corps community so far this year. So thank you.